Please get ready for the passage. Madam Speaker, I rise to present the Union Budget for 2010-11. When I presented the interim budget in February 2009 and the regular budget in July in this August House, the Indian economy was facing grave uncertainties. Growth had started decelerating and the business sentiment was weak. The economy's capacity to sustain high growth was under serious threat from the widespread economic slowdown in the developed world. It was not clear to us, as also to the policymakers in many other countries, how the crisis would eventually unfold. What would be its impact on the growth momentum of the Indian economy? How soon will we be able to turn around the fortunes of our economy? The short term global outlook was bleak, and the consensus was that the year 2009 would face the brunt of this crisis across the world. At home, there was added uncertainty on account of the delayed and subnormal southwest monsoon, which had undermined the kharif crop in the country. There were concerns about production and prices of food items and its possible repercussions on the growth of rural demand. Today, as I stand before you, I can say with confidence that we have weathered these crises well. Indian economy now is in a far better position than it was a year ago. The three challenges and the medium term perspective that I had outlined in my last budget speech remain relevant even today. These would continue to engage the Indian policy planners for the next few years. The first challenge before us is to quickly revert to the high GDP growth path of 9% and then find the means to cross the double digit growth barrier. This calls for imparting a fresh momentum to the impressive recovery in growth witnessed in the past few months. In this endeavor, I seek Lord Indra's help to make the recovery more broad based in the coming months. Growth is only as important as what it enables us to do and be. Therefore, the second challenge is to harness economic growth to consolidate the recent gains in making development more inclusive. The thrust imparted to the development of infrastructure in rural areas has to be pursued to achieve the desired objectives within a fixed time frame. We have to strengthen food security, improve education opportunities, and provide health facilities at the level of households both in rural and urban areas. These are issues that require significant resources, and we have to find those resources. The third challenge relates to the weaknesses in government systems, structures, and institutions at different levels of governance. Indeed, in the coming years, if there is one factor that can hold us back in realizing our potential as a modern nation, it is the bottleneck of our public delivery mechanisms. There have been many initiatives in this regard in different sectors at different points of time. Some of them have been effective in reforming the way the government works in those areas. But we have a long way to go before we can rest on this count. The union budget cannot be a mere statement of government accounts. It has to reflect the government's vision and signal the policies to come in future. With development and economic reforms, the focus of economic activity has shifted towards the non governmental actors, bringing into sharper focus the role of government as an enabler. An enabling government does not try to deliver directly to the citizens everything that they need. Instead, it creates an enabling ethos so that individual enterprise and creativity can flourish. Government concentrates on supporting and delivering services to the disadvantaged sections of the society. It is this broad conceptualization of the budget that informs my speech today. I would now begin by presenting a brief overview of the economy. A major concern during the second half of 2009-10 has been the emergence of double digit food inflation. There was a momentum in food prices since the flare up of global commodity prices preceding the financial crisis in 2008, but it was expected that the agriculture season beginning June 2009 would help in moderating the food inflation. However, the erratic monsoons and drought like conditions in large parts of the country reinforced the supply side bottlenecks in some of the essential commodities. This set in motion inflationary expectations. Since December 2009, there have been indications of these high food prices, together with the gradual hardening of the fuel product prices getting transmitted to other non food items as well. The inflation data for January seems to have confirmed this trend. Government is acutely conscious of this situation and has set in motion steps in consultation with the state chief ministers which should bring down the inflation in the next few months and ensure that there is better management of food security in the country. I am happy to inform the honorable members that the process for building a simple tax system with minimum exemptions and low rates designed to promote voluntary compliance is now nearing completion. On the direct tax code, the wide ranging discussions with stakeholders have been concluded. I am confident that the government will be in a position to implement the direct tax code from April 1, 2011. On goods and services tax, we have been focusing on generating a wide consensus on its design. In November 2009, the Empowered Committee of the State Finance Ministers placed the first discussion paper on GST in the public domain. The 13th Finance Commission has also made a number of significant recommendations relating to GST, which will contribute to the ongoing discussions. We are actively engaged with the Empowered Committee to finalize the structure of GST as well as the modalities of its expeditious implementation. It will be my earnest endeavor to introduce GST along with the direct tax code in April 2011. In the last budget, the constitution of an expert group to advise the government on a viable and sustainable system of pricing of petroleum products was announced. The group has submitted its recommendations to the government. Decision on these recommendations will be taken by my colleague, the Minister of Petroleum and Natural Gas, in due course. I am very happy to inform the honorable members that we have not only adhered to the fiscal roadmap that I had presented as a part of the budget documents last year, but we have improved upon it. Except for meeting the liabilities of the year 2008-9, we have not issued oil or fertilizer bonds. The government also intends to make the FDI policy user friendly by consolidating all prior regulations and guidelines into one comprehensive document. This would enhance clarity and predictability of our FDI policy to foreign investors.